Hi everyone, welcome to the Rare Record Room. This is where I'll show you some of the LPs in my record collection, give you a little background to the artists and their recordings, and provide some examples of the record company labels, and noting some important variations in text or differences between sleeves, that sort of thing. Record collecting has been a passion of mine for as long as I can remember. I hope you'll find these informative and useful, but ultimately enjoyable. With that in mind, let's get straight into the content. In this video, I shall be looking at some records from a group styled as the greatest rock and roll band in the world. These Londoners nonchalantly crashed onto the scene in the early 60s and have swaggered their way effortlessly through the music industry ever since. Parents were horrified and the establishment rather stiffly inquired, "Would you let your daughter marry one?" I am of course talking about the legendary Rolling Stones. In this episode I'm looking at the debut LP from the Stones, simply titled The Rolling Stones. This was recorded at Regent Sound Studios in London and released in April 1964 on the back of 3 increasingly successful chart singles issued in the preceding 10 months, the most recent of which, their frenzied version of Buddy Holly's Not Fade Away, had peaked at number 3 in the NME singles chart. The LP featured 12 tracks, being a blend of pure blues, swamp blues, rhythm and blues and classic rock and roll. 3 songs are originals, Tell Me being credited to Jagger Richards and 2 tracks being band compositions attributed to Nanka Felge. The remaining tracks are all covers of songs written or made famous by some of the group's favourite artists, including Jimmy Reed's Honest I Do, the Willie Dixon Muddy Waters song I Just Want to Make Love to You, Slim Harpo's I'm a King Bee, Chuck Berry's Carol, and Gene Allison's You Can Make It If You Try. The regular 60s lineup of Jagger, Richards, Jones, Wyman and Watts played on the album, with the silent 6th Rolling Stone Ian Stewart on keyboards. There were several guest musicians, including American recording star Gene Pitney, who played piano on Little by Little, and the US record producer Phil Spector playing maracas on the same track. These 2 artists were formally credited on the sleeve and were also given an honorary mention in the group's own song Now I've Got a Witness, which was subtitled like Uncle Gene and Uncle Phil. Also appearing on the record were the Hollies' Graham Nash and Allan Clarke, with backing vocals on Little by Little, but they were uncredited, likely for contractual reasons. The LP opens with an energetic version of the 12-bar blues song Route 66, which the band regularly played live, and it closes with an up-tempo version of Rufus Thomas's Walking the Dog, with a stinging Chuck Berry-influenced guitar solo, which was a trademark of the Stones' early sound. This song uniquely features only Brian Jones harmonising with Mick Jagger in the chorus. Backing vocals were usually both Jones and Wyman and or Keith Richards. There were several subtle variations of this LP when issued in 1964, which I will attempt to explain here. The first and perhaps most significant of these is that the true first pressings include a shorter version of the song Tell Me, which runs to 2 minutes 52. It was pressed from the wrong master. This is a pretty tough record to find these days and is currently valued at £1,000. These were quickly replaced by the correct version, which ran to over 4 minutes. Those are valued at £200. Another important detail is the various sleeve misprints. The 4th track is usually listed as I Need You Baby, but a small number lists this as Mona. And the 5th track on side 2 is misprinted You Can Make It You Try on original sleeves. This was corrected by 1970. There is yet another misprint by Ian Stewart's piano credits stating Can't I Get a Witness, which should of course read Can I Get a Witness. This error had still not been corrected as late as the mid-1970s. I have 3 sleeves here with slightly differing colour shades as seen in the tone of Brian Jones in this image. The early sleeves were available as flip back and non-flip back. The flip back in my experience is far more elusive, and this one shows the rarer Mona title. Such sleeves are valued currently at £350. The record is pressed in mono only on Decca's red label with a large Decca logo in silver. It has the catalogue number LK4605 and displays the text "Made in England, the Decca Record Company", plus the recording first published 1964 wording. The rim text is an all rights reserved notice, and to the right of the spindle hole there is a British KT purchase tax code. The earliest 1960s pressings have a pronounced ridge to the label, about 15mm from the outer edge. Later 60s and 1970s pressings do not have the ridge as seen here. This one is a pressing from around 1970, just after the label design change. This now features a smaller Decca logo set within a rectangular box. The early sleeves are front laminated either flip back or non-flip back designs. The 60s sleeves state "Printed in England by McNeil Press, London", as seen here. The uppermost of these sleeves here dates from 1970 and omits the credit for the sleeve maker. It also has a pinched corner design. The spine of all three of these style sleeves displays the album title, the record company name, the catalogue number and the mono wording. Original inner bags are a die-cut printed paper style with handling and playing instructions printed in purple text of at least two different shades, as shown here. They come with a polythene liner. 1970s copies of the LP have die-cut paper sleeves block printed in blue or in pink with a polythene liner. This debut LP was an incredible commercial success, which went straight in at number 1 on the NME album chart on the 25th of April 1964, where it stayed for 12 weeks, eventually being toppled by the Beatles' A Hard Day's Night. Indeed, the Stones album sold so well that it charted highly in the UK single chart, alongside the band's current single Not Fade Away, and it outsold many 45s available at a fraction of the price of an LP recording. And that brings to the end my brief history of the Rolling Stones' first LP. That's your lot for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did like the video, please make sure you subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. See you next time.